I'm Justin Silverman of the New England First Amendment Coalition. Thank you for joining us for this lesson on New England state courts. This lesson is the third in our series of classes discussing how the courts work and what types of access you're entitled to under the First Amendment, state law, and various court rules. Each lesson is cumulative, so if you haven't already, please view the previous two lessons. You can find them on our YouTube channel, Five Freedoms, or in our FOI guide at NEFAC.org. You'll also find there lessons on state public record and open meeting laws, as well as tutorials on how to use the Federal Freedom of Information Act. Collectively, these lessons provide a curriculum you won't find anywhere else. A special thanks to those who are supporting these classes and keeping them free and open to the public. The Rhode Island Foundation, SBJ New England, and the New England Society of News Editors. Now, to introduce you to today's instructor, NEFAC Executive Committee member and Boston Globe reporter, Annmarie Sweeney.
Hey everybody, I'm Annmarie Sweeney from the Boston Globe, and I want to thank you all for joining us for this webinar, which is brought to you by the New England First Amendment Coalition. This session is going to focus on online access to state court records in New Hampshire. And with us is Annmarie Timmins, and she's a senior reporter for the New Hampshire Bulletin. Annmarie, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, and thanks for doing this. So I've been looking for court records in New Hampshire for 25 years. The good news is you no longer have to go and look at paper in court, but you still have to sometimes go to court. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the two-part process to getting court records here. One is finding the case, which you can do from your office, wherever online, and then getting the actual documents. So that is a two-part process. So let me just get started here. Whoops, sorry. So the first thing you really need to do is get a docket number for your case. It's going to help you. There's three ways then you're going to get the documents, but you really need to start with a docket number. And so now there's no more going to the court to get that. And I'm going to try to take you through this search process here. And you'll get this information after, I think, this website. This is now a place to find cases. So we're going to go here and you'll have to create an account. And I'm just going to sign in. There we go. And great, it worked. So this, I think this website is used in other states, so it may be familiar to you. I find it pretty clunky and frustrating. So it'll either work perfectly here or we'll run into the usual problem. So you put your case in here. What I have found is sometimes a case isn't returned, like it's there, but it's where you have to start. I'm going to use a case that I've been writing about involving a casino owner in Concord. And I'm showing you this just because he goes by Andy Sanborn on everything, on all of his Secretary of State filings, his business filings. If you search him under Andy Sanborn here, you will not find him. So you really need to go into Anthony Sanborn. And let's see, we'll just try to search this. And we'll hope that it returns. Okay, so what I'm getting a lot lately is there's been an error, and then you have to back out and start over. And what you'll see here is all the cases involving Anthony Sanborn. And you can see, it has the date. So it might, here's the date, 2019, 2008. So you just go down and find your case. If you are like me, you get distracted, and then you look at all these cases. So he's at the bottom here. So I'm writing about a case that alleges that he took a whole bunch of pandemic aid for his casino and then spent it on a Ferrari and other race cars. And so the Lottery Commission is trying to take his license to operate away. So here it is. I found the case. It'd be great if the documents were here, but they're not. But this is important and you need it. So you have to start here. And so you want to grab the case number right here, make note of that. What I really like about this too is you can start to get some information about who the lawyers are. So you can at least get started there. As probably many of you have found, sometimes lawyers will send you their pleadings directly. So it's a place to start. And what you'll see here is what has been filed so far. And this is going to be important because one of the ways that you can get court records, and I'll go over this more in a minute, is to ask the communications office at the court to they'll send you up to 6 documents a day. So if that's the route you're going to have to go, this is a place you might want to start to identify, what you need. Do you want the motion? You're going to want this complaint, for example. So this is a place to start, get a little information. The events, hearings and whatnot are here, so you can look there. I will say that this isn't always up to the minute. And so if you are on deadline or looking, you think the hearing is today, you've heard it today and it's not here, make the call to the communications office because it might not be quite up to date. So this is where you really need to start to get your case. So again, the court number, the location of the court, you don't need to worry about that anymore. I'm going to show you how you can look for court records anywhere, but this is the place you're going to start. And so I'm going to try to back out of this here. There we go. So that's step 1. Supreme Court cases are not on that site. I don't know why. It's inconvenient because, we write a lot about the Supreme Court cases and it's hard to find these cases. So, one way is to go into the court, do this search. I will try Sanborn Anthony here and see what happens. Sometimes you will get 400 hits and you won't even know where it is. Here's my case here. So I see some documents here. So that's one way you can go in to find a case for the Supreme Court. And again, you're not going to be able to get the records online, but you'll be able to see what the case number is. So then when you do ask for case documents, you'll be able to ask specifically what you want. That's one place to find a case you're looking for. Again, if you know the lawyers in the case, that's another good route to go. Just say, will you file me your pleadings and any exhibits? Be sure to ask both sides because one side might not give you what they don't want you to see from the other side. And then the last step is to, go to the communications office. And I have the email address here. I really can't say enough about how helpful that office is. Av is very new. He's just probably a couple weeks into the job. He was a reporter for a long time, which is what we always like to see. And so he really gets that we're on deadline. He's very, very responsive. And they'll help you. Again, it's a good place to even start if you don't know where to start. They're very, very good. So that's for Supreme Court cases because they're not on that search portal. So now you need your court records. The best way is that you are covering some big name case and Av and his team have put it up on their website as frequently requested cases. And so I'll just show you where that is. It's sort of a not new, but relatively new thing in my time. And it's just so helpful. So here we are, frequently requested cases. There's civil and criminal. I'm just going to go over to civil. And like this decision I just got an email about this a few minutes ago, this case here, and it's already on the site. So they're just very on top of things. And you can see the number of cases here. Fortunately, my Concord casino case is here and the documents have been uploaded pretty quickly. But it's a good thing to check and say, if you're going to be covering this, just to, give the office a call or email and say, is it totally up to date? Because they might have not gotten to something yet. And maybe that's the very document you need. The other thing is, I'm just going to go over here. I went to a court hearing on this case a couple weeks ago now, and we got there and it was a Monday morning. And we learned, and the judge was not happy about this, and neither were we, that his attorneys had filed over 200 pages of documents over the weekend. Here we're on deadline for this case. It wasn't up on the site yet because how could it be? And I emailed Av and I said, this is the situation. How soon do you think those documents will be uploaded? and they were up there before I left the courthouse. So just that kind of communication to let them know kind of what you're doing, what you're going to be looking for. And I think, again, they'll be as helpful as they can. So it's always worth, even just saying, I'm going to be covering this, to put it on their radar. Even if there's not 100 pages over the weekend, there might be something from court that day. So that's the best way to get cases. The second option, especially for people who aren't in New Hampshire, is to ask the communications office for help. And they'll send you up to 6 case documents a day. If I'm honest, I think they'll send you more if you ask nicely. They just might not get them as quickly as you'd get that 6. So you can send your request in, overnight, over the weekend, if you want to get a head start on Monday. They do the searches, though, between 8:30 and 5. And 5 is nice because the courts often close. I've gone to have the doors locked at 4, which is ahead of time, but certainly by 4:30. So if get one of those press releases at 4:15 p.m. that we love so much, and you need court records, at least the communications office is there for another 45 minutes or so. So if you email them, and this is where you want to have thought about on your search portal, kind of what documents you want, because you are limited. And so that you'll just, send them what you're looking for. And again, I think if you needed 7 documents or 8 documents, you could tell them that, and they would get you the 6 as soon as they can, and to the other 2 quickly. So again, they're very, very accommodating, very, very helpful. And I checked with just before this presentation to make sure this is still the process. And so confirmed, this is what you can do to get records through that office. The last way is not my favorite, but it's better than nothing. So you will have to go to court to get court records. And the good news is you can go to any circuit or superior court in the state. If you want cases in Merrimack County, you don't have to go to the Merrimack County courthouse. You can go to the one near you and use the kiosks there. This is what they look like. There's often only 2. So someone from the public could be there using it. So you'd have to wait. I try to get there as early as possible just to avoid that if I'm going to really need some documents. You cannot search Supreme Court cases on this, which is frustrating. So again, that process I described to get documents on Supreme Court, you really have to go through that process. We're trying to get movement on that, but for now, that's the process. So really the trickiest part of this shouldn't be the trickiest part. It's logging in to this system, because if you're looking for a civil case, you're going to have to log in as civil. If you then want to see if that is an associated criminal case or another criminal case, you have to back yourself all the way back and go back in through criminal. And it's not clear, the site, when you're in it, it doesn't look like you have to do that. And so if you get hung up on that, if you just can't get a case returned and you're certain is there, go back and make sure you're signed in for civil search versus a criminal search. And this is what I mean. If I log into the civil court, I will just get these. But you can see here, it gives you the option of Superior Court criminal cases. If I'm logged in as civil, that looks like I can use that button, but I can't. It will return no cases. So that's where you have to back out and get yourself in on the criminal side. It took me a while to figure this out. The good news is if you go to the clerk's office, I think they've probably been asked this question 100 times, and they're very good about helping you through it. And so you're going to finally get into your case, and you can search a number of ways. Case number is one, because you have pulled that from the portal. I find that to be the best one because there's no chance of misspelling a name, but you can go in through name as well. And once you're in, this is a fantastic website. You'll see here, it's a little small, I know, but you'll get the idea. This is my casino case. If I'd gone to the court, this is what I would see. I can try to blow this up a little bit. Every single document that is a public document is linked, and it will look familiar to you. This is a complaint. It'll be the same documents you'd see in paper. So everything is there to link, except if it's a sealed document. And it should say if it's a sealed document, and make note of that, the date and everything, because you might want to go to court and try to get that unsealed. So just, make a note of all the documents, just in case you need something, you want to fight something later that has been sealed. You're going to get, I think, Emily will send you or make available, there's a little guide at the kiosk. It's very complicated to walk through this process. It'll tell you that you have to pay for these documents. The good news is you don't have to pay. You can print, but there's a limit. It's 25 cents a page. You can go in and download these documents to the computer and email them to yourself through a Chrome browser. The little booklet says there's no Chrome browser. It's a little out of date, but there is. And so that's just it's a really great option, because look, we would go broke if we were printing these. One trick that I didn't do at first, and I regretted it, is when you download, every single document will be called document fragment. And then it just makes it very hard to go through, especially if you've downloaded 30 documents. And so you just want to be mindful of that. I am a privacy freak when it comes to this kind of thing. Even when we would search, when you had to search, go to the court and search and request a file, you had to write your name down, and I did never do that. I just didn't want other reporters to know what I was doing. So your email will be on the scene, on the screen when you're done emailing yourself documents. And so you just want to first go in and sign out, because if you don't, someone will have access to your email, obviously. I also like to go in and just remove my account so nobody knows I have been there. And the other thing I like to do is to go back in to the screen, like the downloads, and erase everything that I have downloaded, and then I empty the trash. I don't know why I feel so strongly about keeping our work secret to ourselves, but that's just what I do. And at the minimum, at least sign yourself out of your email. I have gone into this kiosk and found someone's email open. So just really remind yourself to do that. You won't get a prompt to do it, so you just have to remember. Let's see. And that is my very fast presentation. I hope that every case you want is a frequently requested case. Like I said, that's the easiest way to go. But I do think we have a fairly good system with the communications office. And again, they're very helpful. Communicate with them often and early if you're going to want something, and they really do as best they can. The other thing is there is a media and judiciary committee where we sit and we try to work through problems. This is something we're advocating for. Like, can we please get all of this information online from home? And so I think the more voices that are raised in that effort, the better. So if it's something that you feel strongly about and you want to share, running into a problem, you're out of state especially, feel free to contact me through the bulletin, and that's something I can bring forward to the committee. Again, I just think the more they hear from how real people are using this database and trying to seek these documents, the better, because they just are doing it from their desktop. And sometimes I realize they had no idea that we couldn't as well. So again, we have to be advocates for access to information in lots of ways. And this is another one I hope we can keep working at.
Annmarie, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks, everybody.